one profession per chapter. And so you don't have your competitors that are always there in the room with you, which sometimes you get with, say, the Chamber of Commerce or a women's group. There could be other people, other professions in the room. So if that's the case, one profession per chapter, how in the world could there be 11? I don't even have enough fingers for this. How could there be 11 of one profession in a chapter? And I'm excited today to bring one of those people here to join us. Welcome today, Shawn Yesner.
Hey, Tiffany, how you doing?
Glad to have you with us. Now, Shawn is an attorney, but in his chapter, he's not the only attorney. There's 10 other attorneys. Wow. How in the world does that even work?
So we've said that we are the law firm within our chapter. I mean, each one of us either is in or owns their own law firm, but within the chapter itself, the chapter has its own little mini law firm because even though we're all attorneys, we each do different things within the law. We each focus on different areas of the practice.
All right. So we're going to come back to this a little bit, but first, what is your area of expertise? What is your area of law within your chapter?
So within the chapter, I am the bankruptcy attorney. So I help people to get out of debt.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, Shawn and I are going to be talking for the next 10 minutes or so about this topic. However, we would love to hear from you. So please comment, please ask your questions, put them wherever you're watching, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Though I will tell you here on the screen, we do have, if you're on Facebook, you have to either go to chat.restream.io/FB or just put your name in the comment that you're typing. That way we know it's you, because we would love to hear from you, your thoughts, your question on this. Oh my gosh, how in the world 11 attorneys in one chapter? So you've got the bankruptcy seat. What other kind of attorneys are there in the chapter?
So we've got an attorney that does employment law. We've got an attorney that does criminal law. We've got an attorney who does immigration law. We have an attorney that does first party insurance. First party insurance is where the person who is insured needs to sue their insurance company because the insurance company didn't provide the proper coverage, and it's mostly in the property arena. So they make a claim for damage to the house and the insurance company doesn't pay it out. That's first party insurance. We have an attorney that represents homeowner and condo associations. We have one that does personal injury. We have one that does elder or probate laws, what people know it by. We have one who only does civil litigation. So he does a couple different areas, but mostly he's in court a lot, attending motions and hearings and trials and all that stuff. I'm the bankruptcy attorney. We have a family law or divorce attorney in the chapter, and then we have an attorney that focuses on workers' compensation claims.
So it sounds like you're very specialized, or all the attorneys are very specialized in their own little area. Is that
Yeah.
something? How does that work? Because I'm sure there's plenty of people that come to you saying, I can do everything. So how does it work in finding the right attorneys within the chapter or for the chapter?
Well, I think that's what you have to do. You really have to find those attorneys that have that giver's gain mentality of BNI. I mean, even though those are the seats that we hold in the chapter, some of the attorneys do handle multiple areas. I mean, in addition to the bankruptcy work, I also do a lot of real estate work. Our civil litigation attorney does a lot of real estate work. He does a lot of corporate work, LLCs and corporations and that kind of stuff. And even though he and I both do some real estate work, we've had a lot of one-to-ones. We've talked a lot. He's actually probably the attorney that I overlap with the most. And he's also one of my best referral partners in the chapter because we know where those lines are. I know where the line is where it's more than what I want to handle, but it's perfect for him. And he knows where the line is where it's not necessarily something he wants to handle, but it's perfect for me. So it does take some interaction with the membership committee when the attorney applies. It does take some mentoring or coaching or one-to-ones. It does take some time to build the visibility and the credibility. But, even though some of us may overlap here or there, what we've tried to teach the chapter is if you have a legal issue, we're the law firm for the chapter. So if you have a legal issue, get it to one of us. And if it's not the right one for me, I know if it's not the right referral for me, I know where to send it. So if you're on the board of your homeowners association and you have a question about what to do with a specific issue within the association, and you come to me and say, hey, is that something you can handle? I'm going to tell you no, go to Karen. Karen represents homeowner and condo associations. If you come to me and say, I was in a car accident, can you help me? I don't handle personal injury law, but I have the personal injury attorney that I can refer to in the chapter. So that's how we've tried to do it within our chapter, is a lot of one-to-ones. It's probably a topic for another day. We do call ourselves the legal power team, although within the true definition, we're not really a power team because we focus on different target markets. And that may be where really we are able to work together. For example, I'm looking for somebody that has um, very little money or is having trouble paying the bills. Our elder law attorney is looking for somebody that has a lot of money that needs to set up an estate plan. So we're all focused on different target markets, which also may be a reason why we all work so well together.
Yeah, and I would guess that if you all have different main clientele, then it does make it super easy to pass those referrals back and forth. How many of the referrals, what percentage, and I know I'm asking you to guess, and I know that's not your behavioral style, what percentage of the referrals do you think you get and give inside your legal group in your chapter versus the rest of the members? Any
I
idea?
know that I don't know the exact percentage, but I know the majority. The majority of referrals that I get, the majority of referrals that I receive. I got one over the weekend from one of the attorneys. I gave one to one of the attorneys last week. So I know that I would have to guess it would be 3 out of every 4, 2 out of every 3. I think it would be pretty high up there in terms of percentage. Um, and part of that too is, especially with some of these areas of law, someone gets into a car accident, they get into a car accident, but someone's having trouble with debt. That's a really personal conversation. So it's hard for me to teach the general contractor in our chapter how to have a conversation with somebody about, hey, are you in a lot of debt? But with an attorney, that's a much easier conversation to teach them, and vice versa.
Gotcha. Excellent. So you mentioned helping people get out of debt. Can you tell us a little bit about your firm, Yesner Law, and the Crushing Debt podcast and books and all that too?
Yeah. So we're in the crushing debt shirt right now. So my background is, the way I got into this particular area of law was through a lot of foreclosure law representing banks, and so that set me on a path where really what I like to say is that I help people who want more money at the end of the month rather than more month at the end of the money. I help those people that, as they're budgeting or as they're looking at their monthly bills, they get to the end and they go, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay this, that, the other thing? And so the easiest way to define that within BNI is to say I'm in the bankruptcy seat. But I've tried to create the idea in the minds of the members and the other attorneys in the group that I do more than bankruptcy. So I help get rid of debt, whether that means I help negotiate it away, whether that means somebody is exempt from having a particular asset be taken from them, whatever it is, I help them work with their creditors. And like I said, I do that. The best way I do that is through the podcast, the Crushing Debt podcast, which is available on any podcast player. It's been around now, gosh, I think 7 years. I think we're getting close to year
Wow.
8. It's a weekly podcast. I think last week was episode 350 something that was released. And so, yeah, that's been a really big help to the law firm in terms of creating content, in terms of creating um, education for clients, for people who are interested. That then led to the book Crushing Debt. The podcast episodes then created the content that I was able to get the Crushing Debt book written. And then my second book is Become Debt Free in 1 hour or less. And it's a bunch of ideas that you can use to, it's not that you're going to read the book and an hour later you're going to be debt free, but everything I talk about in the book can be implemented fairly quickly. So you can implement all this stuff to either get out of debt or get more money, or both.
Awesome. Excellent. And for those of y'all, I do have on the screen here, you can go to ShawnMYesner.com/become debt free. and that will get you a free copy. So you're not going into more debt to get the book. You got your free copy. So I highly encourage you to do that. So a couple follow-up questions for you as it comes to these attorneys. What would you say to a BNI member that is one or two attorneys maybe in the chapter if they're looking to grow the legal firm or the legal team within their chapter? What would you share with them?
Yeah, I think it's the same conversation as any business that's trying to grow. Take a look at who do you give the most referrals to? Who do you get the most referrals from? And invite them to the chapter meeting. I mean, we just had in our chapter our financial advisor seat open up. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I called a financial advisor friend of mine and invited him to the chapter. And he said, "Well, I don't know that I want to join." And I said, "Well, that's good because I'm not asking you to join. I'm asking you to come visit." So, the attorneys, there's two types of attorneys that I've found. There's the attorneys that, like me, like the 10 others in my chapter, that are there for the relationships. They're there for the referrals. They're there to understand how to build and grow a business. There are other attorneys that say, that's an hour and a half of billable time that I'm going to lose. And my response there is, who's billing at 7:30 in the morning? That you need to be billing that early. And if you do need to be billing that early in the morning, you're probably at a huge mega law firm where BNI may not be the best fit for you anyway. So I would find those people, the givers gain mentality, the people that think in terms of creating relationships, the people that think in terms of generating referrals and receiving referrals. I mean, I get regularly uh, between 40 and 50% of the law firm's revenue comes from BNI and BNI related referrals. So the system works as long as you work the system. And so I would just take a look at, what attorneys do I send who, not types of attorneys, but who are the particular people that I send a lot of my referrals to? Who are the particular people I get a lot of referrals from? And if they're not in BNI, invite them to a meeting one day.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, 11 attorneys in your chapter. So you're done? No more attorneys needed,
No.
or are there still some seats you want to fill?
There are still some seats we want to fill. The one that we're targeting right now is a business law attorney. And we've had business law attorneys in the chapter before. So that's the one we're trying to target right now is a business law attorney. I'm sure there are other types of areas of law. We don't have a disability attorney in the chapter. So, we'd love to have a disability attorney. But I know the one that the legal team and the chapter in general is really focused on right now is business law.
Awesome. Excellent. Now, I know there's probably people watching thinking, oh my gosh, how large is your chapter? Because if there's an 11 attorneys, because some chapters out there are only maybe 15 members total. So I do want to just give a disclaimer. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a large chapter in order to have a lot of one team. However, when you got the power teams that are actively working and referral generating, that to me is the focus as a member. It's not selfish. I like to call self-enlightened interest to have those people that can refer you. Though, how large is Referral Masters nowadays?
Yeah, so BNI Referral Masters, we're located in Clearwater, Florida, is where the chapter is located. We are at formally, officially, right now, we are at 86. But I know we've got at least 3. I also happen to be the vice president, so I see it all come through on my emails. We've got at least 3 applications pending right now, including a couple for the financial advisor seat that just opened up. So we should be, at one point, we were over 100. Our goal is to get back there if we can, although we're more focused on the quality rather than the quantity. But we should be flirting with 90 here pretty soon. I believe we're the biggest chapter in Florida, and I believe we are the second largest in the United States.
The one in South Carolina still has you beat.
I think so. I think they're in the 120 range ish. So,
And
and
for
we,
those of
we,
you, go
well, I
ahead.
was going to say, we get through the exact, so if you're a BNI member and you're watching this, we get through the exact same agenda that you use in the same amount of time. We're just really tight on the bell and on the timing.
Yeah, and to me, I know sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to get that big. Here's the thing, the bigger the chapter, the larger your power team can be. And when you focus on the power team, I mean, Shawn's sharing, he's thinking 3 out of 4 referrals comes from this group. And so it is a large group, but you're really lasered in and focused in on those handful of the people that can pass you referrals all day, every day, like the legal firm and referral masters.
Exactly. I mean, I tell newer members that come into the chapter that say, I want to do one-to-one with everybody. If that's your goal, I'm not going to stop you. That's great. But I tell them focus on those professions within the chapter that are going to pass you business right away. Get the most bang for the buck right at the beginning. Yes, any member of my chapter says I want to do a one-to-one. The answer is always yes, when, where, how. But when I'm looking at who I'm doing one-to-ones with, I'm going to, for every one that I do with the baker in the chapter, I'm going to do 4 or 5 with the probate attorney in the chapter, because
Yeah.
that's probably where I'm going to get the most referrals from. But yeah, I mean, different strokes for different folks, but you double the size of your chapter, you triple the amount of referrals. So I like being in a big chapter.
I've been in a big chapter and a small chapter, the same chapter actually. It was at 50 and then went to 18 and then back to 50 plus. And I definitely prefer the larger chapter as well. And I'm the introvert that's shy. I know y'all don't believe me sometimes
I
when I say that, but it's true.
I am definitely I'm the one at the networking event. I'm the one holding up the wall, making sure it doesn't fall down.
Shawn, any last words that you want to leave the viewing audience with about this idea of having so many of a profession in your chapter?
I think it goes back to the concept of, do you want to be um, do you want to do one thing really well, or do you want to do a whole bunch of things not so well? I'm kind of too old a dog to learn new tricks, so I don't necessarily want to get into personal injury law. I don't want to figure out employment law. I don't want to handle. I've been in criminal court once. I filed one probate, and both of them were disasters. I don't want to do it. So I like having those referral partners around me where if I have had clients call me and I got a DUI or my mom passed away or whatever, and it helps me to have that team to refer them to. It makes me more of a resource for my clients and my referral network to have these other attorneys around me that I can refer to.
Awesome. Well, Shawn, I want to say thank you so very much for being here, for sharing all of this with the viewing audience. It's always a pleasure. Y'all will be seeing more of Shawn on our Monday BNI Talks, because when I was like, hey, you want to come on? He's like a whole slew of topics, especially focused around the referrals. So we will be seeing him a bit to help us have more money, more time, and more fun. Happy networking, y'all.